Time for our latest edition of Between Two Reporters with our Edmonton and Vancouver Bureau Chiefs Ryan Rishaug and Farhan Lalji. All right, let's start with you, Farhan. The Canucks were able to get past Nashville with the tandem of Casey DeSmith and Arturs Shilovs in net. Thatcher Demko will not be ready to start the series against Edmonton, so they will be relying on that backup duo again. Is there any indication, Farhan, on which of those two will be getting the start in Game 1?
Well, as you'd expect, Rick Tocchet would not confirm who his goaltender is going to be. He says he's not going to make the decision until tomorrow afternoon, which is a nice way of saying we don't want to tell you until game day, but we certainly believe it's going to be Arturs Shilovs, especially with the way he closed out that last series, a 28-save shutout, and played very well in the 3 games he was called upon. Certainly didn't look like the moment was too big for him, but ultimately this is not going to be about the Canucks relying on a third-string goaltender against the high-powered Edmonton Oilers. This is going to be about how this team plays team defense, and they're sticking to that. They understand this series is going to look a little differently than it did against Nashville, but they have to play a certain way defensively, and that's been very good for them. You know, they have been so strong in that area all season, especially since March 1st, the final 7 weeks of the season. The Canucks gave up the fewest high-danger scoring chances in the league. They gave up the fewest chances off the rush, and they were also in the top 3 in terms of fewest expected goals, fewest shot attempts allowed. This team knows how to play defense. It's a group that's been rebuilt. It's a group that's bought into the system, and I think that, as much as anything, is what they're going to lean on in terms of trying to limit this high-powered Edmonton attack.
So no goals for Elias Pettersson in the opening round series against Nashville. In fact, he hasn't scored since April the 10th, but he did provide a big spark in clinching the series against the Predators. How much do the Canucks need Pettersson to turn his game up?
Jay, there's simply no way that the Canucks are going to win this series if Elias Pettersson offensively was as quiet as he was in the last series. As you said, just 3 assists in that series, no goals, and he had a real key role on the eventual series-winning goal when he won a puck battle, got the puck to Brock Besser, who eventually got it to Pius Suter, and it wound up in the net. And that is something I believe Pettersson can build on, to have such an important role in the most important moment for this team this season. And as far as Tocchet's concerned, he said, yeah, you know, we can re-rack here for some players, and they can reset, and this might be a good opportunity for Pettersson to do that, because so much pressure on him going into the playoffs with how poorly he finished following the All-Star break. Well, they won a series without him producing at a high level. Some of that pressure is alleviated, but when you look at how good Edmonton is offensively and how explosive they are, no matter how well the Canucks play defensively, you'd be hard-pressed to think if this series goes 6 games, they're going to be able to limit Edmonton to just 12 goals like they did in the last run. They're going to need more offensively at 5-on-5 and on the power play. And in terms of Pettersson, I wouldn't expect him to get matched up against the McDavid line or the Draisaitl line. There's going to be some room for him to be an X-factor. I can't believe we're calling Pettersson the highest-paid Canuck next season an X-factor, but that's what it's come to. But he's going to have to deliver in that role. The Canucks need more out of him against the Oil.
And Ryan, the Oilers did not have a lot of regular season success against the Canucks this year. Do you think that really matters to Edmonton going into the second round?
None. No regular season success at all. Lost all 4 games. 3 in the first month and then 1 late in the season. We've been asking players about that for the last couple of days, and I know the Canucks have been answering questions about that as well out in Vancouver. I don't think it makes sense for either team to fixate on that, and that's kind of the message that we're getting, right? The Oilers players are feeling like they're a completely different team. That kicked off that horrendous slump that they had to start the season, and of course, you know, the head coach getting fired, the team needing a big wake-up call. It was a long time ago. So I think the Oilers feel they're a much different team, and I think the Vancouver Canucks understand that the Oilers are probably a much different team. And in some ways, the Canucks, too, are much different. So that it feels like it was a long, long time ago when those 3 losses happened, and both sides, I think, are ready to acknowledge that. I think there's a good, strong level of mutual respect here, but a clean slate.
Yeah, and just ask the Winnipeg Jets about regular season success against the playoff opponent. And now, when this series finally gets underway on Wednesday, Ryan, it will be a week between games for Edmonton. Has it reached the point where it's been too much time off for the Oilers?
It's not ideal. I think it's sort of crossed that, you know, critical point where it becomes too much. I think the Oilers would have expected that finishing their series when they did, that they'd be up and running already by now. So a week, you know, it lets injuries heal. And Adam Henrique and Evander Kane have not been skating with the main group to this point. So whatever they're dealing with, obviously that's going to be given more time to heal, and that's good. But think about a red-hot power play. I mean, these things are cyclical. And the Oilers were in a fantastic cycle with their special teams, and then you're off the ice for a week and play no game. So now you pick it up, and you got to try and regain that momentum and pick up where you left off. So yes, I do believe they're in that danger zone of rest turning into rust. I can't imagine they're thrilled with how long it's taking this series to get going, but it's the playoffs. You got to deal with it, and you need to be a team that can deal with that sort of adversity if you're going to go deep, because these things are out of your control. But I do think it's maybe a day or two too much.